we lose contact after Katrina hits because everybody scatters. I mean, scramble everywhere. It's crazy. I don't even want to talk about that. But I start doing the Dark Waters storytelling. I start building the Dark Waters brand, and we end up reconnecting. And the way we reconnected is because she's had a lot of paranormal experiences. So she's on YouTube listening to like these kind of horror narration stories, and she comes across some of my stuff, and she's like, "Yo, this voice sounds really familiar. I think I know this guy." And I have a public number for anybody who wants to call me and tell me a story. It's 504-291-7870. And I talk to anybody who calls. So she calls. And she says, "James?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is James." She's like, "Do you know who this is?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "This is Ming." And I'm like, "Ming who?" She's like, "Ming." And she starts telling me about these drunken nights we had at this club. And she's like, "I know you can't forget me." I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you, darling. How you doing?" She's like, "I didn't know that, you were into the paranormal." And so we have this conversation, and I kind of revealed things to her that she never knew about me. And she starts revealing things to me, Gary, that I didn't know. And did she tell me some scary stuff.
Oh, let's hear some of it.
And so as she's telling these stories about her family, I said, the first thing I say is, "Hey, can I email you the documentation because I want to use these stories?" And she's like, "Sure." So she ended up giving me like 15 stories over 4 days of things that happened to her. So I did the first 3 just recently. That's the background on it. And so it turns out that her family, because she can trace her bloodline back to ancient China, her great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was a sorcerer. And he did magic in service of the Chinese army. And this guy, was the real deal. I'm not talking about, fake, light a candle and put some incense and herbs around type prayer. I'm talking about the real deal, Book of Solomon type, Key of Solomon type stuff, right?
Okay.
And she starts telling me these stories about the things that would happen to her when she was a kid in China. One of them that scared the hell out of me was, it turns out that when she would take a bath, that demonic things would happen. As she was sliding to the tub, she would see one drop of water rise up out of the tub. And then another drop would rise, and then another drop would rise, to the point to where it was obvious that the water was lifting out of the tub.
No.
Not like you took a handful of water, but just droplets of water was rising out of the tub.
That would be kind of scary.
Oh, no, I'm about to freak you out. You got to hear the rest. I'm going to tell you this.
Well, you're already starting to freak me out about the water coming out of the tub.
And so she's telling me the story, and I'm actually sitting, while she's telling me the story, I'm sitting where I'm sitting right now. I'm smoking a cigar just like I'm doing right now. She's telling me the story, and she's like, "James, I slide my legs into the tub," and tub to her is not tub to you and me. Tub to her is like a tin tub. It's not like, we're so blessed in America. A bathtub is great. Even in the projects, a bathtub is a real bathtub, right?
Oh, yeah.
To her, a tub was like a tin tub. And the water was warmed up by a fire for her. And so she's like, before I got in the tub, I put my toe in. It was so hot because my mom warmed the water up by the fire. And I had to wait a while and let it cool down. So once it cooled down, she started to slide her body into the tub. And as her legs go into the tub, she sees the first drop of water. Well, both legs and her waist go into the tub. She sees the first drop of water go up. And she's like, "Okay, I think I saw that," but she ignored it. And once her waist settles into the tub, another drop goes up, then another, then another, then another. And now she's realizing that, okay, water's rising up out of this tub, and there's no justification for it. There's no way of her figuring out what's going on. She's just sitting there what the hell is this? Well, about 45 seconds after these droplets of water rise up, she said she saw a swirl in the water by her feet. And just to the audience that's listening, anybody who listens to the story, imagine for a moment you're in your bathtub at home, people taking a bath, even when you was a kid. This is transparent. You can see your legs, you can see your toes, and there's this swirl by her feet. And then she physically feels something pull her big toe the toe next to it, and the toe next to that. Like, pull it. Like something yanks it. So she jumps up out of the tub and goes to grab a towel and starts trying to get out of the little door that leads out into the hallway. And as she goes to pull the door, Gary, the door won't open. Now, there's no lock on the door, but it just won't open. She's pulling it, and it won't open, and yanking it, and it won't open. And so the only thing she could think to do was scream for her mother. So she starts screaming for her mother, and something told her to look over her shoulder. When she looks over her shoulder, there are 30 to 40 droplets of water that are in the air suspended, some of them over the tub, some of them not over the tub, and they're just suspended there. So now she's really freaking out. She's screaming, calling for her mom. And as she's hearing her mother's footsteps come in her direction, yanking on a door, she looks again, and those droplets of water are still there. The minute her mom gets to the other side of the door, they start to fall. Her mom pushes the door open, hits her in the head, and she stumbles back, hits the floor, and starts crying. And her mom is like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? What's going on? And she tells her mom about the droplets of water. Now, prior to that, she had experiences with, like, this shadow man that she called the stick man. I would never try and pronounce it in Chinese just myself, but she had experiences with this man that she called the stick man. But turns out, the more I talked to her, and then I ended up having the opportunity to talk to Heather Wade off the radio and give her the rest of the stories. And Heather was like, well, James, you know what this is? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I would really want to know. And she was like, it sounds to me like her great-great-great-great-great-grandfather put a demon indentured in service of their family for protection. Like, they have their own demon, right? And after Heather told me that, I started thinking about the other stories that she shared with me. And it turns out that I really believe that this is what is, like, around Ming, is they have their own demon. But it's not like, most people have demonic encounters. There's no governor on the demon. It's like it's coming to do whatever it wants to do. Like, it's coming in and scare you, or to prove a point to you, or talk to you in your head. It'll show itself to you, or to move stuff. But in this case, this demon is there to protect her. And I'll tell you the next story.
Yeah, please do.
She's at Stanford University, and it's her sophomore year. And her friend, Julie, is dating this guy named Greg. I think the other girl's name was Samantha. And they all are at Greg's house. Greg's family is extremely well off. And they're at Greg's family's house. They're all hanging out in the hot tub, just hanging out, chilling. And she told me, she was like, James, this is one of those times where, for the first time in my life, I was really, really happy because I had friends and I had people who were around me that, I thought really loved me and cared for me. Because throughout her life, her relationships with friends have always kind of been sabotaged. People have been scared to be around her. And I can honestly say, when I was hanging out with her, I didn't experience anything crazy. But also at the same time, I didn't have any interest in doing anything to her. My interest was always to help her. Uh-huh. Although my interest to help her, because I have that philosophy, okay, a favor for a favor, it was genuine. I'm going to do you this favor. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to manipulate her and hurt her. It's like, I'm going to do you this favor. So they're all hanging out in the hot tub. They're drinking champagne. Bada bing, bada boom. She has about 6-7 glasses, and she starts getting sleepy. So just like anybody else, you're hanging out with your friends, you don't think anything of it, Gary. You're like, I'm with my friends. I'm going to close my eyes, lay back, and relax. So she closes her eyes, lays back, and relaxes in the hot tub and falls asleep. And I was like, well, how long were you asleep? She's like, I really can't tell you how long I was asleep, but all I could tell you is how I was awakened and how I woke up. And I was like, well, tell me. She's like, well, I woke up to water splashing, and it would sound like, people freaking out. I'm like, okay, tell me more. She says when she opens her eyes, the guy, Greg, is outside of the hot tub, and his eyes are wide open. His mouth is twisted up to the left. Like, she said he literally looked like he had Down syndrome or something. Samantha, the other girl, was running into the house, and Julie, who was the one that was closest to her in the hot tub, was like hugging the edge of the hot tub with her knees to her chest, like there was something under the water trying to get her. And she said that when she looked up above her, there were these blobs. Their exact words was blobs of water that were the size, like if you took an 8-ounce cup of water and scooped it, like an 8-ounce cup, and scooped it into the water, and when you poured it and it suspended itself in the air, she said there was 8 of them in the air suspended above them.
Oh, wow.
They had formed a triangle, and not like a regular triangle, like an acute, like slender triangle pointing at Greg. And Greg was completely freaked out. Like she said completely freaked out. She's like, he was freaked out, like he thought he was going to die. And I was like, well, what do you think happened? What was going on? She said that it took another week and a half after that incident happened, because when pause, let me go back. The droplets are suspended in the air there in this triangle. Greg freaks out. He's twisted. His eyes are wide. His face is all twisted up. And he's cursing, like, what the F is that? What the F is that? And he runs into the house. Once he runs into the house, they drop back into the hot tub. Now, she said it took about a week or two after that until she realized what happened. And Julie told her what happened. While she was asleep, Greg started talking about, taking off her swimsuit top and exposing her breasts and touching her breasts. And they were all kind of laughing and giggling and joking about it. They weren't serious, but they were joking about it. But Greg was doing the talking. And when he started doing that, Julie told her that she felt something grab her leg in the water. And that's why she pulled her legs up out of the water like she was scared. Greg felt something pull his swim trunks, so he hopped out of the hot tub. And when Samantha saw everybody freaking out, she just got out and ran. So when I talked to her more, I said, well, Ming, what do you think it was? She said, I know what it was. This thing was protecting me, because it's protected me my whole life from bad people. Anybody who had real bad intentions, it's always protecting me from them. And she went on to tell me more about a lot more of her stories, like bad boyfriends that she had and how it would run them off. And the one good boyfriend that she had, it didn't do him anything. So I really think that she has a demon that's in service to her family.
Or something, yeah. But I don't know. The grabbing even her toes and yanking them and stuff doesn't sound like it's a friendly demon, though. Not even to her.
Well, it didn't. It wasn't like it accosted her. I don't know what it. Maybe it was making itself known. So, also as well, let me give you. We're talking about an extended period of time. So when that grabbing her toes when she was in the tub, that was when she was a kid. We're talking about 19, 20 years old when she was in college. So there's an extended period of time. She wasn't an adult when that happened, when she was in a tub.
Okay. Wow. That just proves there's things out there, spirits, what do you call it, angels and demons and stuff, and, things watching after people, good or bad. I had a mystic on here, Dark Waters, a couple weeks ago, and she said she was with somebody that was possessed, and when she left, like for the next few days, whatever was possessing that person, that they did a thing trying to remove, the whatever, it followed her home, and, like she'd be sitting there with her boyfriend talking to him, and scratches and stuff would appear on her legs and stuff like that, right in front of her boyfriend, where he saw it, like, wow, you just got scratched, and, you're starting to bleed. Real weird stuff can be out there.
No, and that's what I call the penalty of interfering with certain entities' business. I've experienced that. Mine was a little bit more hardcore than that, but I've experienced that as well. And it's one of those things to where you learn over time, and I don't know who this mystic is, but I've learned, I can speak for myself, I've learned the importance of protecting myself spiritually. I grew up Baptist in a Baptist church here in New Orleans, Southern Black Baptist, like real church robes, choir singing, preacher with the booming voice, like real black church. And in that environment, you talk about the devil, but you don't talk about demons. You know what I'm saying? And you don't talk about spirits. It's kind of like the devil's this ultimate bad guy who needs to get the WWE SmackDown. Jesus gonna beat him down. Bada bing.